Our Old Friend Bear, a story by Annette Smith and illustrated by Richard Hoyt. Bear limped down the path at the back of the garden and lay in the shade of the big tree. He was an old dog now, but he still waited every day for Matthew to come home from school. It wasn't long before the bell rang and Matthew came running across the school playing field towards the back gate of his home. "Hello, Bear," he called. "Let's see if Mum will take us to the park. You could pretend to chase rabbits down there just like you used to." Bear struggled to his feet and wagged his tail as he looked up at Matthew with his big brown eyes. Matthew waved to his mum, who was watching them from the kitchen window. "Mum, can we go down to the parks?" asked Matthew as he went inside. It was such a nice day, and Mum, what's the matter? What's wrong? As Mum turned to look at Matthew, her eyes filled with tears. "Matthew, come and sit down here. I want to talk to you about Bear," she said, leading him over to the couch. "You know he's almost 14 years old, and that's very old for a big dog. He's had arthritis and a weak heart for a while now." Matthew put his arms around Mum as she talked. "I went down to the vet clinic today to get some more medication for him," said Mum. "Dr. Kelly said that Bear is in a lot of pain because his joints ache all of the time, and his pain will even get worse when the cold weather comes." "How can we help him?" asked Matthew. "Dr. Kelly says that we're going to have to make a decision very soon," Mum explained. "A decision?" said Matthew. "A decision about what?" "Dr. Kelly feels that it may be a lot kinder if she helps Bear to die without pain," said Mum. "No," said Matthew. "I don't want Bear to die. Bear has always been here with us. Mum, you had him for ages too before I was born. It's not fair. He can't die yet." "But we have to think about Bear," said Mum. Is it really fair that he has to suffer a lot of pain just because we don't want him to die?" "Dr. Kelly says we don't have to make a decision right away. We can talk about it some more over the next few days. Now let's go down to the park. It's a nice day and Bear will enjoy it down there. Why don't you phone Henry? He might like to come with us." They walked slowly down to the park. Bear ambled along beside them. Henry had brought his football. "I thought Bear might like to have a game with us," he said. "He always loves joining in our games." Matthew explained to Henry about what Dr. Kelly had said. "Bear won't be able to run after the ball like he used to, but we could just throw it to him and let him get it." That evening, Mum said, "Bear can stay in your room for a little while tonight, Matthew, as a special treat. I'll put him out in the garage later." Bear followed Matthew into the bedroom and lay down on the mat beside the bed. He seemed to know that Matthew was feeling very sad. Matthew stroked Bear's head and rubbed his ears gently. "What would we do without you, Bear?" Matthew whispered. "You're our best friend. You always look after Mum and me." Bear licked Matthew's hand as if to reassure him. Matthew climbed out of bed and lay down on the floor beside Bear. He put his head on Bear's warm coat and listened to the sound of his breathing. It was a strange, raspy noise. "Perhaps that's just because he's getting so old," Matthew said to himself. Matthew thought about Bear. He thought about all the times that Bear had managed to lift the latch on the back gate and sneak across the school playground and into Matthew's classroom. All the children at school loved Bear too. Bear was everyone's friend. Sometime later, when Mum came in to say goodnight, Matthew was curled up fast asleep on the mat beside Bear. Well, old friend, said Mum as Bear looked up at her, it's going to be very hard for us to make this decision, but we will take our time, and Matthew has to be very sure too. Matthew stirred a little and muttered Bear's name as Mum helped him back into his bed. Come on, Bear, said Mum. It's time for you to go out to your warm bed in the garage. The next morning, when Matthew went to let Bear out of the garage, he was very surprised to see he was still asleep. Wake up, lazy bones, Matthew said. It's time you're up. I'll be off to school soon, and you always come down to the gate to say goodbye. But Bear didn't stir. Why are you taking so long, Matthew? Called Mum from the kitchen. You'll be late for school. Mum, Mum, cried Matthew. Come here. Bear's still asleep. He won't wake up. I think something's wrong with him. Mum knelt down and felt Bear. We don't have to make the decision now, Matthew, she said. Has he died? Whispered Matthew. Mum nodded. Matthew and Mum stood with their arms around each other, looking down at Bear. Tears streamed down their faces as they looked at their faithful old dog. Bear was our very best friend, smiled Matthew through his tears, and we will never forget him.